every good storyline, there's always good versus evil. And when it comes to the affordability crisis, there seems to be a lot of villains. Today, we're going to be taking a closer look to see who the villains truly are when it comes to the affordability crisis. And some may not be who you think they are, and some might make you a little mad. Maybe it's like the villain that you love to hate, kind of like Walter White from Breaking Bad.
I am the one who knocks.
Now, everybody's favorite villain is the federal government. And why is they the super villain when it comes to the affordability crisis? Well, that list could possibly go on for miles. Before the housing crash from years ago, they had opened up this program that allowed people to do these stated income loans. And that snowballed into the housing crash that we all experienced. If you're my age or older, you know what I'm talking about. That federal program for stated income had been around for years, but it didn't really get into real popularity until right before the last housing crash. And it seemed like everybody was doing these loans, and then they were doing them in a predatory lending practice. Lots of lenders got in big trouble for it. And we all know how the banks got bailed out from the federal government because they were too big to fail. Some people say that was wrong, but as me being as a real estate agent, we didn't really necessarily want to see the housing market crash altogether. It was bad enough as it was. If you did not save the banks, it could have been a lot worse. And nobody expected them to keep kicking down the road this can of forbearance. And as much as it really did help a lot of people, not everybody got the benefits of forbearance like they expected. These would be the people that are the most low income earning throughout the United States. They do have a job, so they were able to purchase a manufactured home, and they ended up putting it in a manufactured home park where the lot is rented. When the CARES Act came through, that didn't cover them because the type of loan that they have is called a chattel loan. And since it is rented land, the CARES Act didn't cover that as well. So forbearance did not work for them, and the rental moratorium didn't work for them. So a lot of people right now are getting out of their manufactured homes that they purchased with a chattel loan, and they're the ones that's going to be the most affected, and we're never protected by any of these acts. And who's there to pick up the pieces but investment firms? And investment firms do not care. They will just go ahead and scoop it out, and what they do is they turn around and rent them. To me, this was probably the biggest loophole of a group of people that got totally pooped on, that the government definitely ends up being evil in this situation. Now let's talk about the other way the federal government in this particular CARES Act was kind of evil, in the fact that there's lots of landlords throughout the country that are the small mom and pop landlords that had tenants that could not pay their rent because they were out of work due to the pandemonium. The problem being is that the federal government did a lot of money. Only like $4.2 billion has been used to help landlords and their tenants. What are they doing with the freaking money? And that isn't just the federal government's problem, that's your state government's problem. And I've heard horror stories from landlords saying that they have tried their darndest to get some kind of reprieve on the fact that they have been going without rent for over 6 months from some of their tenants. These people do not need to have this happen to them. And as citizens, we really need to ask the state where the heck this money is for the landlords so they can cover their costs for their payments. I mean, it's not just because you own a house, you have these deep pockets you can afford for renters not to be able to pay. So yes, the government can be evil. One of the most interesting villains that has come out this year that millennials have pitted against baby boomers. And I'm just like, what is this about? So a lot of news articles that have come out recently have said that baby boomers are causing the problem because they're retiring in place. They were afforded an opportunity to purchase a home in their younger years. They have decided to stay in that home after retirement instead of downsizing like they did in generations past. They decided they wanted to remodel their house. Many generations before that didn't. It leaves a lot of smaller homes that would have normally been on the market, not on the market. So that's why the millennials are not getting the houses, so they say. I've seen several TikToks where people talk about this.
Hi, today I learned that this was the median U.S. worker wage in 1970, $9,870 a year. And now the median U.S. worker wage is $35,977 a year, which is 3.64 times larger than in 1970. But in 1970, the median home value was only $17,000 in the U.S. And if it too were 3.64 times larger, it would be $61,966 today to buy a house. And in fact, the median house costs $295,300 as of June 2020. I am not okay with this information. I'm not okay.
I understand they're not okay with this. So all of our numbers seem correct. And if you put it in a mortgage calculator, it would actually kind of balance out because of the cost of the home and the cost of inflation and incomes. The mortgage payment seems about right, except for we haven't really factored in the fact that the medical expenses are a lot more. There's student loan debt at the wazoo because we have told these generations that they needed to get an education and they spent a lot of money trying to get educated. The cost of living has gone up exponentially. And we can't forget car payments and car expensive. So there's good reason why millennials are pretty frustrated on why they can't buy a home. But let's not blame generations against each other. We have enough pitting against each other in this country. We can't do this anymore. This one I'm taking the microphone off because I just need to get this a little closer. In my comment section, people like to blame the real estate agents and the real estate brokers for the prices of homes going up. The thing is, when it comes to real estate, the market dictates the price. It's not what the real estate agents price the home at. It doesn't even make sense because if the home is overpriced, the market will reject the price. If a real estate agent prices the house at $800,000, but the market says that it's only worth $600,000, there isn't going to be any buyers that come in that buy that house for $800,000. They cannot control the price. Not only that, appraisals come in, and if they have a loan, the appraiser's going to flat out tell them it's not worth $800,000, it's only worth $600,000, and then the buyer has to come up with a $200,000. Then that becomes a brand new comp because now that's sold for $800,000 because the buyer was willing to pay the extra $200,000. Now the market has dictated that the prices of homes have gone up more. Real estate agents can't control that. The buyers are what controls that. They're willing to pay X amount. Think about it like this. When the housing crash happened the last time, people got to the point where they were unwilling to pay the prices of homes. And slowly but surely, house prices came down and then more foreclosures hit the market. That's what a lot of people think is going to happen in this current housing market. But I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. I'm sorry. There's too much cash in the market. This wasn't held up by kooky loans like we had in 2008. So I'm sorry. I know some people are going to argue with me in the comment section, but I'm used to it. So what are the bank's responsibility in the affordability crisis? In the comment section of several videos, I've heard many people talk about how lenders have done horrible things to their personal loan. I have no statistics to base their claims on to follow up with what they're saying. But I will say this, that after 2008, when we went through this whole entire housing crisis before and the housing prices tanked into the ground, the banks did no favors for anybody that owned a home. This time around, when they're looking at their books, they don't want a repeat of what happened last time. And now there's currently 1.6 million, that's a drop of people that are currently on forbearance, and they're expecting more people to fall off of forbearance really soon. They've already made a structure for these people that are going to continue to be on forbearance to at least be able to restructure their loans so they do not have to go into foreclosure, which is good for holding up home prices, but it's not necessarily going to be good for people that are looking for more affordable homes. Also, in this case, when it comes to the houses hitting the market, if they were to hit the market now, these people would not be underwater. They have earned and gained a lot of equity over the last several years with their homes. So if they were to sell it right now, they'd still end up selling it for a profit, even though they've lost a year's worth of mortgage payments. Nobody I've worked with yet has had a big payment or penalty because of the month that they took off for forbearance that I've seen in closings. If you have seen anybody that has sold their house when they took the forbearance and they had to pay penalties, can you let me know in the comment section? Because I really would like to know how that really works out. I haven't seen it personally. I realize that banks aren't necessarily our friends in all cases, but they do lend out money. And in this particular situation, when it comes to the affordability crisis, nobody wants anybody to lose their home. But I know that there's a lot of people that are waiting on the sidelines for a lot of foreclosures to hit the market so they can find a more affordable housing option. I will say this, investors are waiting as well. And a lot of them have been sitting on the sidelines, licking their lips, waiting for the next foreclosure to hit the market. In a lot of cases, when foreclosures hit in a big bundle, they'll sell them to investment firms. So you may not see as many foreclosures that hit the market as you were anticipating. Only time will tell. We've got another probably year and a half before we start seeing the real true ramifications of what has happened with these moratoriums and forbearance programs. And currently rent right now is astronomical, and I can't imagine it going any cheaper anytime soon. I have to say, the biggest supervillain that has happened in the last year that most people were just now talking about it just a couple months ago, but I have been talking about it for over a year, which was big investment firms buying up small properties to use for rentals. When I first mentioned it over a year ago, people said, that's a conspiracy theory. You don't know what you're talking about. And then all of a sudden, the news headlines were splashed with BlackRock buying up whole subdivisions. Now, the headlines of that were a little misguided in the fact that they were already established neighborhoods. They were already designed to be rental units. But that doesn't mean that all of that information is untrue. Because even if you look at this article here from slate.com, it specifically says it's not exactly accurate that the investors are buying up every single family home that they can find, as some suggested. If that were true, that the market share in the United States would be a piddly 15%. They're buying up stock in relatively inexpensive single family homes built in the 70s in growing metropolitan areas. But these are the same homes that would be for like the first time home buyers or people that are just getting into the real estate market. If these big investment firms are the ones that are buying up these types of houses, that leaves a lot less for people that are just trying to start out. Now, I can understand why these particular big corporations and hedge funds are considered the supervillain. They have deeper pockets, and of course, they're going to win out every single bid. When it comes to the affordability crisis, they are villains. I'm sorry, they're not here to help us. In some of these articles, they even paint the picture of the fact that they really are trying to upscale these neighborhoods because they fix up the property and make it more affordable for people to rent. But a lot of families don't want to rent. They want to own their own home. Forget that. I'm sorry, they're a supervillain. Blackstone is not our friends when it comes to the affordability crisis. I'm sorry. Now, when it comes to affordable housing and the affordable housing crisis, there isn't one answer that solves all the problems, but there isn't also one villain that causes all the problems either. So who do you think is the biggest villain in this scenario? Let me know in the comments section. To watch some more videos about the affordable housing crisis and some of my solutions, go ahead and click this video right here. My name is Kristina Smallhorn, your real estate whisperer, and I tell you all this because good real estate information matters and not the evil stuff.